Ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest for a second. We live in a world where chasing is the norm, where people are desperate for attention, validation, and quick replies. But today we flip the script. Because I'm not here to talk about how to win a woman over. I'm here to tell you how to make her worry about losing you. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't about games. This is about growth. This is about becoming the kind of man who doesn't beg for love, he commands respect. A man who doesn't follow the crowd, he leads it. If you're tired of being overlooked, overplayed, or underestimated, good. Because today, we're changing that. Today, I'm going to show you how to shift the energy, raise your standards, and start living in a way that makes a woman stop and say, wait, what if I lose him? Let's begin. Mastering your presence is one of the most powerful things you can do, not just in relationships, but in every aspect of life. Presence is not about being the loudest in the room, having the flashiest clothes, or talking non-stop to grab attention. It's about the energy you bring when you enter a space. It's how you carry yourself, how you listen, how you respond, or choose not to respond. When you walk into a room with calm, quiet confidence, people notice. And more importantly, they remember. There's something deeply magnetic about someone who isn't constantly trying to prove themselves. Silence, when used with purpose, becomes power. When you speak less but with intent, every word you say begins to carry weight. People lean in when you finally decide to share your thoughts, because they've learned that you don't speak without reason. That restraint, that control, makes you stand out in a world obsessed with oversharing and constant validation. Confidence doesn't mean dominating conversations or seeking approval. It means being so comfortable with who you are that you don't need to fill the silence. You're not rattled by awkward pauses. You're not scrambling for attention. You're grounded, and that kind of energy doesn't just impress, it lingers. It stays with people. It makes them think about you long after the interaction is over. For a woman to worry about you, to genuinely feel a shift in energy when you're not around, she has to sense that you're not like everyone else. Most men give too much, too soon. They talk too much, text too fast, and reveal too easily. They try to win her over by over-explaining, over-committing, and overextending themselves. But when you master your presence, you don't operate from a place of desperation. You operate from a place of self-worth. You become unpredictable in the most attractive way. You don't chase, because you don't need to. You give space for her to wonder, to question, to lean in. You create a gap, and in that gap, curiosity grows. It's not about manipulation. It's about creating a sense of value around your time, your attention, your energy. When she realizes that you're not easily accessible, not constantly available, not always trying to impress, she starts to take notice. She starts to think about you when you're not around. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means being intentional. It means knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet. It means making eye contact that communicates more than a paragraph ever could. It's in the way you stand, the way you move, the way you hold your own in any room, whether you're surrounded by strangers or people you've known for years. Women are intuitive. They pick up on energy quickly. They can sense when a man is uncertain, needy, or insecure, even if he's covering it up with charm or jokes. But when they come across a man who is self-possessed, who doesn't rush, who speaks with calm clarity, who smiles but doesn't perform, they notice. He becomes a question mark in their mind. Who is he really? What's he about? Why doesn't he try so hard like the others? And most importantly, why do I feel the need to figure him out? That's what presence does. It creates a silent tension, a feeling that there's more beneath the surface. And when a woman senses that depth, when she knows you're not showing all your cards, she starts to value every interaction more. She starts to worry when she hasn't heard from you, not because you played games, but because you created an experience she doesn't want to lose. Prioritizing purpose over pursuit is one of the most defining traits of a high-value man. When a man is rooted in his purpose, when his life is centered around growth, goals, and personal mission, he naturally becomes more attractive, not just because of what he's doing, but because of the mindset he carries. He's focused, he's driven, and that energy is magnetic. He's not waiting for validation. He's not checking his phone every 5 minutes, and he's not adjusting his entire schedule to win someone over. His time is already spoken for because he's building something bigger than a conversation or a text thread. The truth is, most men get distracted easily. A pretty face, a sweet voice, a little attention, and suddenly they're off course. They stop showing up for themselves. They forget their own path. They prioritize chasing someone instead of becoming someone. But here's the thing. The more you chase, the less power you have. The more energy you put into pursuit, the more you signal that you've got nothing more important going on, that you're available for anything at any time because your life doesn't have direction. Women don't want a man who is constantly chasing them. They want a man who's chasing something bigger, a man who wakes up with purpose, a man whose calendar isn't filled with empty space but with intention, a man who's in the gym not for aesthetics but for discipline, a man who's learning, building, growing, not for applause but because he demands more from himself. That kind of man doesn't need to chase. His life is already in motion. His vision is already clear. And when a woman sees that, she naturally leans in. There's a noticeable shift in energy when a man is on his purpose. He's not reactive. He's intentional. He doesn't let emotions control his moves. He doesn't waste hours checking in or worrying if he's being liked. Because he knows what he's building. He knows where he's headed. And that clarity gives him confidence that no flattery or attention can replace. When you're locked into your purpose, women don't become your focus. They become part of the experience, not the destination. You're not trying to complete your life with someone. Your life is already full. Your goals, your passions, your standards, they fill your time, your energy, your mind, and because of that, you become scarce. Scarcity breeds value. When a woman knows you're not sitting around hoping she texts back, she starts wondering what you're doing. When she realizes you're not available every time she calls, she starts questioning who else is getting your time. When she sees you investing more into your life than into her attention, she begins to respect you on a deeper level. Most men give up their purpose too easily for the promise of affection. They start skipping workouts, cutting back on goals, and rearranging their priorities to keep someone around. But that's backwards. Because the very thing that made you attractive in the first place, your direction, your hunger, your sense of mission, gets watered down the moment you put pursuit over purpose. Women don't stay interested in men who are easily distracted. They don't chase men who are always chasing them. They want someone whose focus isn't fragile, someone who doesn't need constant emotional feedback, someone who's so immersed in becoming better that everything else becomes secondary. When a woman sees you building a life with or without her, she pays attention. When she realizes that her presence enhances your world but doesn't define it, she starts investing more into the connection. Not because you demanded it, but because your purpose positioned you as someone who isn't easily won over. Embracing mystery is a skill that very few master, but the ones who do always stand out. In a world where everything is overshared, overexplained, and overexposed, mystery has become rare, and therefore powerful. When you are mysterious, you automatically create curiosity. You become someone people want to understand, someone they can't quite read, someone whose next move can't be predicted. That uncertainty isn't a weakness, it's what draws others in, especially women. Because mystery sparks questions, it creates a subtle tension that keeps someone thinking about you long after the conversation ends. Most men are too quick to reveal everything about themselves. They overshare in the name of connection. They feel like being an open book earns trust and admiration. But there's a difference between being honest and being too available. When you give too much too soon, you remove the tension. You leave nothing to discover. And when there's nothing left to explore, interest fades. Women love stories, but they especially love stories that unfold over time, with layers, moments of pause, and unexpected turns. If she already knows everything, the mystery disappears, and with it, the excitement. Being mysterious doesn't mean being secretive or playing games. It means learning how to manage your energy and your presence. It's about showing up without always having to explain where you've been. It's about making her wonder how you stay so composed, what you're thinking when you go quiet, what drives you when you disappear for a while to focus. It's about letting your actions speak more than your explanations. When you don't rush to explain every detail of your life, people lean in. They try to connect the dots, and in that effort, they become invested. A man who embraces mystery becomes unpredictable in the right way. He doesn't follow the same script as everyone else. He doesn't double text. He doesn't panic if she doesn't reply right away. He knows that the more he seems unaffected, the more others become affected by him. That calm, grounded energy is captivating. It makes a woman pause and rethink how she approaches him. She can't quite figure him out, and that becomes a challenge. And the moment a woman feels challenged in a way that feels fresh and respectful, she starts to value the connection more. When you always make yourself available, you remove the need for her to reach out. But when you're selective with your time, when you leave room for her to wonder, when you create that space where she's not sure what you're thinking or feeling, her mind starts working. She starts imagining, she starts asking questions in her head. Why hasn't he reached out? Is he seeing someone else? Did I say something wrong? Those thoughts aren't born out of manipulation, but out of the vacuum you leave when you're not overly present. That vacuum creates desire. That silence makes your presence more valuable. Mystery keeps you in control of the pace. It allows you to slow things down without explaining yourself. It gives you the power to lead without chasing. It shifts the dynamic from you proving your worth to her wanting to understand it. Most men chase validation because they're afraid of losing interest. But the truth is, interest grows in the unknown. People are naturally drawn to what they don't fully understand. When you reveal everything too soon, you take away the reason to stay curious. But when you hold back just enough to keep her guessing, you become the one she can't stop thinking about. A man who embraces mystery respects himself enough not to give himself away so easily. He's not driven by insecurity. He's driven by intention. He chooses what to reveal and when to reveal it. And because of that control, he's always one step ahead in the connection. He's not needy. He's not seeking constant attention. His life has its own rhythm, and anyone who wants to be a part of it has to match that rhythm. Raising your standards is one of the most powerful ways to shift the way people treat you, especially in relationships. The way you carry yourself, the boundaries you set, and the energy you allow into your life all send a message about how much you value yourself. When you raise your standards, you stop settling for bare minimum behavior. You stop entertaining people who show interest only when it's convenient. You stop giving your time, your presence, and your energy to anyone who hasn't earned it. That shift is powerful, and women feel it immediately. Many men give too much too soon to anyone who shows them attention. They mistake interest for investment. They start adjusting their lives to fit someone in, even when that person hasn't proven they deserve that space. But when you raise your standards, you become more intentional. You start asking, is this person aligned with my values? Do they bring peace or confusion? Do they respect my time, or do they waste it? These aren't just surface-level questions. They become the filter for who gets access to you. A man with high standards doesn't beg for respect because he lives in a way that demands it. He doesn't tolerate inconsistency. He doesn't keep chasing someone who only responds when it's convenient. He's not afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't meet his expectations. That kind of self-respect is rare, and it immediately shifts the dynamic in your favor. It tells the world that you are not desperate for connection, you are selective, and when a woman senses that she can't just slide in and out of your life as she pleases, she either rises to your level or gets left behind. There's a difference between being hard to get and being hard to impress. Being hard to impress means that you've seen enough, learned enough, and grown enough to know the difference between real connection and shallow attention. You don't respond the same way most men do. You're not thrilled just because someone likes your photo, sends you a compliment, or gives you a little attention. You've set your life up in a way that your standards are clearly communicated through your actions. You don't chase chaos. You don't invite drama. You protect your peace and make people work for access to it. The higher your standards, the more people will either step up or fall off, and that's exactly how it should be. The wrong ones will call you difficult, the right ones will respect you, the wrong ones will say you're too picky, the right ones will recognize your discipline, the wrong ones will get frustrated that they can't control you. The right ones will be inspired to meet you at your level, and that filter saves you time, energy, and heartbreak. When you set strong boundaries and maintain them, people notice. When you say no without feeling guilty, it shows you're in control. When you don't respond to disrespect, when you walk away from mixed signals, when you don't allow anyone to interrupt your progress, you're setting a standard that people feel the moment they meet you. It becomes clear that you're not just another option. You're a man who knows his worth and refuses to accept anything less than what aligns with his values. Women respect men who hold themselves to a higher standard, not just in relationships, but in every area of life. From how you manage your time to how you speak, to the way you treat yourself behind closed doors, it all sends a signal, and that signal says, I am not for everyone, I don't need attention, I don't need approval. I am focused, grounded, and selective. That mindset doesn't repel quality, it attracts it. Because when you live with high standards, you naturally attract people who either match them or rise to meet them.